So, as I'm sure anybody who's watching this already knows, I dye my hair a lot. And I also remember like the very first time I decided that I wanted to dye my hair purple, like I was looking for tutorials and stuff online and I couldn't find a lot of information on it. Like I did find some, but I had a lot of questions that were left unanswered. So I figure what I'm going to do is make a totally comprehensive, like all over 100% tutorial. There's a lot of stuff to cover, and I'm just going to go into like as much depth as I can, like with what products to use, what how long to use them, and all sorts of stuff. Anyhow, this first section is going to be on bleaching. As you can tell here, my hair has already been bleached. It's basically white. Like there's still a little yellowness in it. You can't really tell because like the lighting here is bad, so it looks kind of blue. But yeah, my hair is basically white. Now let's say you actually wanted to get like white hair. Like let's say that's the color you want, or you want like white with purple or something. If you want to actually get white hair, you can bleach. However, what you actually want to do is use a silver toner. They're actually usually slightly purple and with slight blue tones, and what that'll do is that will the purple will counteract any yellow tones, and the blue will actually give it like a slight silvery sort of look to it. And it's a lot better than just bleaching and bleaching and bleaching until your hair is basically dead. Anyhow, a lot of people I know, well, first of all, you don't have to use bleach if you're going to do your hair in natural colors. However, it will come out a lot better. Like if you want the color that comes out on the bottle, you do have to bleach beforehand. If you don't, like, you get these subtle purple tints or whatever, or maybe like some forest green color. It's pretty, but it's not necessarily like, again, the color that's on the bottle. A lot of people I know have issues with bleach. The biggest one that I've heard is, oh, if I bleach too much, my hair is going to fall out. That's kind of true and kind of not. Like, if you bleach your hair a lot, it gets really, really fried and it gets really brittle, and that can cause it to like break off and crack. However, that'll still leave you with some hair, and it won't affect like the quality of your hair that grows in. The thing to consider is the hair that's already grown out is just, it's dead. Like you can do whatever you want with it, it's dead. And it won't affect like what's going on inside your scalp where the hair is actually growing out. Yeah, anyhow, let's move on to products. There are a lot of products out there to use. I know one thing that's popular to do, especially if you're doing unnatural colors, is to get a, Manic Panic Flash Lightning kit, or, various other kits. I know they come with raw dye. There's a Color Fiend version. I don't tend to like those. Like, they aren't bad or anything. They're just more expensive. If you get a bleach packet, which is a packet of powdered bleach, and a bottle of cream developer, which you can mix together to make bleach, you get a lot more for a lot cheaper. For example, this is a bottle of 40 volume developer, and I don't really have a sample with me here, but if you use a packet of Quick Blue, which is Quick Blue bleach, combined with Oreo cream developer, by the way, they're both made by L'Oreal, so they work very well together, you get a lot cheaper thing. This is $4, one of the packets is $4. However, if you're going to be doing a lot of bleaching, or if you have really long hair or really thick hair, you might want to get like a tub of powder and a 16 volume version of this bottle. These products are available at Got Beauty. That's where I always get mine. That's where they're cheapest. I think you can also find them at Sally's Beauty Supply. And, if that's not an option, you can always go online. They have them on Amazon.com. They have them at Sally's Beauty Supply is, the website for that. The thing, one thing to consider when you're buying your products is what volume. This, for example, is, I don't know if you can see, 40 volume, and this is 30 volume, and there's actually 10, 20, 30, and 40. I personally don't ever get lower than 30, and even 30 is kind of low for me. This was 2 packets of Quick Blue and, maybe 4 ounces of 40 volume developer. And it just like, it gets you a stronger result. Basically 40 volume is the strongest, 10 volume is the weakest. If you wanted just like a subtle lightning effect for some other project or whatever, you could use 10 volume and that would go. But if you want to bleach, or if you want to dye your hair in a natural color, you're probably going to want to go with the 40 volume. The thing to consider is that bleach is, it's a chemical. It's not, you can't leave it on for hours and hours and have everything be wonderful. So, it's just be careful with it. Like, you don't have to freak out. It's not going to cause your hair to fall out. You aren't going to go bald. Your skin isn't going to rot off. It's not that bad. But you just want to be careful with what you're doing. I personally leave it in for like 20 minutes maybe. And again, like, depending on how much lightening you need, you can do a couple sessions. I usually don't leave it in for more than 20 minutes in one session, though. You want to use like some very, not necessarily special equipment, but you want to be careful with the equipment that you do use. You don't want to use like your nice bowls or your nice plates to mix up the mixture, because you're going to have to throw those away. They're just going to be nasty afterwards, and they're not going to work as well as they used to, especially if they've got like nice coatings or whatever. So I usually just use like a paper plate and a plastic fork, and you apply it, and it's, just try and stick it all through your hair. It's really hard to like do sections of it just because this stuff is so weird and goopy. Like, it turns your hair basically to the consistency of Play-Doh while it's in. It's kind of fun to play with. One issue that I know some people have is that it can make your scalp kind of itch, when it's in. But basically that's just kind of something that sucks. If you want really light hair, you deal with it for 20 minutes, and it's not really that bad. It's just kind of itchy. Anyhow, always put a towel around your shoulders, or just like wear a really old shirt. I often do that. And I wear glasses, and while bleach doesn't necessarily do anything bad to glasses, I always like to take these off and use this older pair I have that one of the lenses keeps falling out. It's just a little more comfortable, and that way I know I'm not going to do anything to my nice, expensive prescription lenses. Contact should be fine, though. I usually measure out the developer using a little Dixie cup that I have, and that's about 3 ounces. And depending on how much powder you have, is how much developer you use. I think for 1 packet of Quick Blue, they recommend 1.5 to 2.5 ounces of developer, and how much developer you use affects how strong it is, which is to say the more you use, the weaker it's going to be. For this, I used maybe 2 ounces per packet of bleach, and that came out with like a really bright extreme effect, whereas in the past, like when I've just had like a little, faded purple or whatever that I wanted to get out, I've used more developer, 2.5 to even 3 ounces per packet, and that's resulted in like lightening without the significantly, frying effect. Another thing that you often see on websites that tell you about how to bleach your hair is that you process it with a hairdryer by like, you just take the hairdryer and you put it in while it's on. That's actually really not the best idea with bleach. It is activated by heat. However, the heat from your scalp is just absolutely plenty. If you use more, then there's more of a chance that you'll damage your scalp or your skin because you have less control over how much heat is getting into that. And again, like, if you're nervous, just use a little bit more developer, or if you're really, really absolutely terrified, use a 30 volume or 20 volume or a 10 volume lightener. However, again, like, it's not something to worry about. How much lightening you get from this process depends on a lot of things. It depends on whether you've dyed your hair using a permanent natural color, and what quality your hair is beforehand, and just how dark or how light your hair is naturally. If your hair is very porous or very coarse, it should take the dye very well, but sometimes it doesn't keep very well. I have very thick and very fine, smooth hair. Like, if I, get out of the shower after washing and conditioning and comb it out, like, it'll just lie straight, flat, perfect, like, absolutely no volume, nothing. And that's actually worked really well for me. I've been able to repel damage really easily. I think if your hair was darker or if it was coarser, you might have more issues, but just, pay attention to how your hair is feeling in between bleach sessions. So if you've already used natural dyes, or if your hair is really dark, then when you put bleach over it, it is going to lighten it. However, it's not going to lighten it as much. I'm naturally blonde, so I don't have that much lighter to go. However, if you're naturally dark, or if you put a dark color over it, like, it'll get this really brassy undertone when you bleach it out. The best thing to do with that is to put what you want to do is basically just like bleach it twice in a weekend, like do, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and do some really nice hair treatments in between then. If you're really like unsettled by the orange color or whatever that comes out, you can try putting like, brassy oranges or reds over it to try and cover it up, and that way it'll make it look more natural just in between, and like give it a week and then give it another bleach session. How much you can bleach really depends on your own hair and your own judgment. You just have to give it a look and like think about it, and think about how fried your hair is getting and how brittle it feels. Like right now my hair actually feels kind of brittle, but I know from a fact from my previous experiences that I'll put 1 thing of conditioner in this and it'll be fine. Again, like, I'm really lucky with my hair. And the last thing that you want to consider when bleaching is the fact that bleaching is a permanent process. Like when you do this, it lightens your hair, you know, down deep into it. And so you can't just like, you know, eventually wash it out. You get to wash the dye out, but you can't wash the bleach out. That's kind of the same way you can't really wash natural dyes out, like permanent natural dyes, because they really dye your hair. They don't just like color it. So I have this issue where since my hair is bleached out, and you know, if I want to get a new color in there, I have to bleach out the purple or blue, where when I try and put natural colors over it, I have a really unfortunate result. I can't go dark colors. I think that that could be remedied by like putting brown and then putting a darker brown and then putting a darker brown, but that would be like 3 dyeing sessions. I've tried using like jet black dyes and my hair will just go navy, and I use, you know, dark auburn and my hair goes like this light coppery color. It's really hard to get back to a dark color once you've gone this light, the same way that when your hair is really dark, it's hard to get it this light again. So it's just something to think about. Like, it's not impossible. It just might take some time to go from one to the other. You know, it's not a simple process of one weekend. I think that's all I have to say on bleaching, and we're going to have one more video on dyeing, I believe, which will be uploaded in a minute.